Manhattan's Chinatown is home to many Asian immigrants, longtime residents, and newcomers. The historic neighborhood holds cultural significance to many of its residents. But in recent years, the neighborhood has experienced rapid change. And with that change comes the threat of losing the cultural and historic signifiers that make the neighborhood what it is. This is the story of three people documenting and preserving Chinatown in their own ways.
Gentrification here in New York is happening so fast. In a blink of an eye, you're like, wait, where did this even come from? Like, how did this even happen?
Photographer Cindy Trinh, a second-generation Vietnamese American, moved from California to New York in 2011. She found her community in Chinatown and has been capturing the neighborhood with her camera for the past decade.
The prime example of how gentrification has hurt this neighborhood the most is when people get literally kicked out of their homes. You know, a lot of folks here, they're working class. A lot of them cannot afford huge rent hikes. And Chinatown was literally built because of racism. Like, we had to build this enclave for them because they weren't allowed anywhere else. This is like the safe community and the safe haven for so many Asians. And for the newer immigrants and newer people coming over, where are they gonna go? You know, the affluent, privileged people are gonna be able to continue to spread, and eventually they'll take over, you know, they could take over most of the neighborhood. And then we'll lose all the things that we love so much about Chinatown.
Oh, it's good to see you. It's genuinely great.
Nobody could single-handedly halt the changes that Cindy was seeing. She reckoned with that and recognized that the importance of her work lies in preserving history.
My work has always been about just like using photography to connect people and tell stories.
Performing again. Hey! Good to see you again. Good to see you guys. Hey, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah. Hey!
What we do as photographers, videographers, journalists, writers, historians, archivists, all of those people are actually integral into preserving the culture of Chinatown. When I think about my own photography, I want my pictures to be seen 50 years from now and remembered, and I want people to reflect on the times that we were living in. That's our way of time traveling, right? Is like we can look back on images, we can look back on different literature and writing, and yeah, remember where we came from and take those lessons that history has taught us in order to fight for a better future.
While Cindy works to document a vanishing Chinatown with her camera, Chloe Chan shares the history of Chinatown with others.
Back in the day, in the 1890s to the early 1910s, this was the Chinese Opera House.
As the co-founder of Mott Street Girls, she leads historic walking tours of the neighborhood, which include stops at local monuments, Chinatown associations, independent shops, and eateries.
So I always think that is so meaningful to be able to connect and share our different experiences as Asian Americans. And I think that's another thing that we're trying to cultivate at Mott Street Girls is to build up that sense of community.
And eventually, the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act was passed, and this is the first U.S. law that banned an entire ethnic group from coming to the U.S. for over 60 years. From 1882 until 1943, the 61-year time span, it was very difficult for Chinese people to come over to this country because under this law, years. Is it like the street?
I think what we can do to help Chinatown is giving the small business owners the tools or the knowledge, right, to help keep them open for generations to come. And I think for us, at Mall Street Girls, what we're trying to do is just bring more awareness. A lot of people might go to Chinatown, but they might not necessarily know about like the oldest restaurant in Chinatown, the oldest gift shop in Chinatown, and we're trying to like put the word out there.
Maybe for lunch today. So this is Namwa Tea Parlor. This is the oldest restaurant still open in Manhattan, Chinatown. And this is what Peltry looked like back in the day. You can see this is the same angle, right, that we are looking down. Any differences that you notice in the photographs? Any changes that you notice? So, well, first up, it was like a cobblestone path back in the day, right? And there also used to be an above-ground subway that we don't have anymore. And then also Confucius Plaza wasn't here at that point. You guys see there's no the tall buildings behind us back in the day. And also,
I don't know exactly what will happen in the future, but from what I can see so far, the younger generation carrying their family legacy forward. And I think that is will be a continued desire of the younger generation, right, to start their own small businesses or maybe revamp their parents' old businesses. And even Feng An, right, the son originally was in photography and videography, but now he has taken his family legacy forward by modernizing tofu pudding.
I never really intended to do family business. It was one of those things where there were so many people involved, and I was much younger than everybody else. It's that old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Fong An was founded by Paul Eng's grandfather in 1933, but as the youngest in the family, Paul never intended to take over his family business, so he ended up in Moscow to pursue a career in photography. It was not until 2017, a few years after Paul came back to New York, that Fong An closed its business and Paul decided to take over. He sought to transform the traditional tofu business into a storefront with modern upgrades.
My family's old tofu shop and the way it was disappeared. And it wasn't just simply because they were getting old. Business was dropping until it actually couldn't pay for its own bills.
Chinatown was changing, and Paul realized Fong An needed to change too. After 2 years of planning and renovating, Fong An reopened in 2019.
So I'm trying to elevate it to a different kind of status, Why not? Because everybody else's food outside of the Chinese culture gets elevated also. It has to, or else it disappears.
At first, Paul saw gentrification negatively, but he realized that gentrification pointed out ways the neighborhood could adapt itself and ways the business could, too.
And I realized only in the last few years that they're not to blame. They come in, they see cheap space, right? Because the neighborhood undervalues itself. So when somebody from outside comes, they say, wow, this is cheap. I mean, how many times have I heard people say, oh, Chinese food is cheap? I mean, if I've had people come into the store and say, oh, that's too expensive. Well, I'll have somebody else who will come in and they say, oh, that's cheap. It's the same product, but viewed differently. So gentrification is more or less the same thing. Ask the successful businesses in Chinatown, right? Like say the Namwa in Chinatown, right? They're very successful. They are surviving, they are making good, they're hiring people, they make, people have jobs, they're paying into the system, right? They're successful. It seems to me that everybody would want that type of success, You follow a certain model, and it's valuing yourself more. Charge more, and you pay people more.
In a city known for rapid change, Chinatown is not immune to change either. These 3 stories show that some in Chinatown are embracing that change, preserving the historic and cultural roots of the neighborhood while helping shape Chinatown's future.